Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Like I said, we're going to do things just a little bit different. We do have both mayoral candidates. We're honored to have both of them here tonight to give us their vision of Louisville and maybe how we as real estate investors will play into their future vision. So please, again, like I said, this is not a debate. It's not a forum. They're not going to take any questions. They're just here to present some of their views and thoughts for about 15 minutes each. So please give them their attention, and then after they're done speaking, we will resume kind of the normal meeting activities. So Mr. Craig Greenberg is going to speak first, and then we'll hear from Mayor Dieruf. Craig?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for inviting us to be here tonight. It's great to be with a wonderful, active group and to see people that are so engaged in their community and in business. I actually think this is a historic evening for both Bill and myself. I think this is our last joint appearance before the election in 12 days. There might be another one, but we're sort of going hour by hour at this time, 12 days out. But it's great to be with you all here today. My name is Craig Greenberg, and I am the Democratic nominee to be your next mayor of Louisville. Professionally, just a little bit about myself. I grew up here in Louisville, went to Jefferson County Public Schools, and started my career as an attorney, but very quickly got into the real estate business. I've not been in the residential real estate business like many of you, but I helped start 21C Museum Hotels and led that organization as CEO as we developed properties, not just here in Louisville, downtown, but also in 8 other cities for a total of 9 properties around the country, and also have been involved in some other development properties here in Louisville, including 111 Whiskey Row, which was a property that Duluth Trading is now in. You all might have remembered about 7 years ago, these great historic buildings burnt down, and we rebuilt them and restored the historic part of that project and really helped revitalize downtown. So I've been involved in your industry, or close proximity to your industry, throughout my professional career. But I'm running for mayor because, like probably many of you here tonight, I'm frustrated where we are as a city. We have big challenges, but just as I always did in my professional career, when I saw big challenges, I saw even bigger opportunities. And so I'm excited about our future to move Louisville forward in a new direction. Let me just talk about a couple of big picture items before I drill down onto some of the issues that I think you all might be most interested with respect to your industry. First, safety. To me and to many people I've met across the city, improving public safety has got to be the number one responsibility of the mayor of all of city government. We must reduce the amount of gun violence. We must reduce the amount of all crimes throughout this city so that everyone, regardless of where they live, can lead a safe life without the fear of violence. And there are many different ways that we can do that, which we've all been talking about throughout the campaign. Beyond safety, we also need to clean up our city. We need to remove the graffiti. We need to fix the broken streetlights, get the abandoned cars off the street in a matter of days instead of a matter of months, clean the alleys all across the entire city so that everyone can have a clean neighborhood in which to live, which again leads to a safer community and a healthier community as well. And improve the services as well. We have to do the little things right, like pick up the trash, etc., to do these big things that we all want to do to move Louisville in a new direction. And with respect to economic development, there is so much more that we can do to increase Louisville's vibrancy as a city and to create more good-paying career path jobs and business opportunities for people across our entire city. My economic development strategy will focus on local businesses first, proactively reaching out to local business owners like yourself, large business owners, people who are just starting up a company, and asking what we can do to help you all grow. What do you all need from government, for workforce development training? What is it that we can do to help your businesses grow, to create more good-paying career path jobs here, and to increase our tax base so we as a city can do more things? We also need to make it easier to do business in Louisville. When I was CEO of 21C Museum Hotels, we had a saying. We say yes. We say yes to our guests, and we say yes to one another. We need to bring that culture into the office of planning and zoning, into the office of development, so that when folks like you all are looking to invest in our community, we make it easier for you all to make that investment, to create jobs, to improve neighborhoods. That is the responsibility of government. It must be an easy place to do business. I've had these frustrations firsthand. Just a couple years ago, I also happen to be, should have mentioned this earlier, I also happen to currently be a co-owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling, a small professional wrestling company that's been around in Louisville since 1991. And my partner Matt Jones and I, along with some others, bought that business 2 years ago. We were looking for a new place where we were going to have our wrestling venues, and so we had a contract on a building. Well, 9 months later, with no planning and zoning approval, some things changed and we ultimately decided not to go forward. So I saw firsthand the challenges that you all in this room are dealing with on a daily basis. We can and must do better. So that would be my approach for economic development. So let me talk a little bit about a few of the things in the housing industry and supporting your industry to make neighborhoods safer and to help you all let Louisville be a place where you all want to continue to invest in and continue to do business. First, with respect to housing. As you all know, we have a housing crisis in this community. On my first day of running for mayor, I announced that my goal would be during my first 4-year term to get 15,000 new or renovated affordable housing units built across this entire community. Now, to me, affordable housing means many things. It means rental units, but it also means for sale homes. The city has not done a good enough job of working to create more home ownership opportunities for people at all income levels across this city. One thing we need to do is we need to address the issue of vacant and abandoned lots. As far as I can tell from research with data that's available, though it's not great and it's difficult to find, there are about 5,000 vacant or abandoned lots across this city. We should be doing a much better job to get every one of those 5,000 vacant and abandoned lots into the hands of new home owners, people who own their own homes, whether it's their first home, their second home, their third home, whatever. We need to do more so that people own homes, they can create generational wealth for them and their family, and at the same time, make neighborhoods safer, cleaner, and greener. And we must do this all across the city. Vacant and abandoned lots are condensed in certain parts of the city, but we must do more to ensure that there is affordable housing for sale and rental across our entire city, near improved public transportation routes and near good-paying career path jobs. I was pleased to see that the city recently, just last week, or maybe it was this week, had an announcement with the Rotary Club, where the city is putting in some American Rescue Plan money, the Rotary Club has raised some funds, and there's going to be a new pathway for people at the lower income levels to own homes, for home ownership. To me, that is a good start, but we must certainly do more. Another thing the city can do is the city can get itself out of the real estate holding company business. The city owns so much property across this city that is not being used to its highest and best use. It's not generating taxes to pay for needed services and growth of our city. And so as mayor, I want to work with people across this entire city, from the private sector like you, from the nonprofit sector, to create public-private partnerships, to create more opportunities for these properties, to create more homes and home ownerships. It was very frustrating for me to read a few weeks ago that the largest landlord in the west end of Louisville is an out-of-state company from Texas, I believe, that owned over 1,300 units. My guess is that frustrated a lot of you in this room as well. We need to work with local owners to ensure that local owners have opportunities to compete with these behemoths and give preference when we're turning over these vacant and abandoned lots to local owners so that you all can be at the forefront of these development opportunities. Throughout my entire administration, I look to work with the private sector, the nonprofit community, and solicit feedback along the way. There are 623 precincts across our entire city. I've literally run through all 623, listening to neighbors and learning from them about the unique issues that they're dealing with in their neighborhood, and also learning about the challenges that we all face regardless of where we live. There's huge work to be done. But I've met so many people that want to be a part of the solution. I think we'll all agree we don't need any more studies. We all know what the challenges are. So if you share my sense of urgency to take action and get things done, I would be honored and welcome to have your support. I've been endorsed by the Greater Louisville Association of Realtors because they believe that I would be the best mayor to help support your industry and to move Louisville forward in a new direction. So we have 12 days left in this campaign. I hope to be elected in 12 days. And if that's the case, I hope to have the opportunity to work with you all to get your input on what the city can do to continue to move Louisville forward, and to work with you all to make Louisville a great place to do business and to invest in our community. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you again for your time and for sharing your vision. Mr. Dieruf, Mayor Dieruf, if you'd like to come up, please. Oh, okay.
It's just, I appreciate it. I appreciate the mic, but since I'm standing here, the mic is standing here. Let me do a sidebar here just a second. How many golfers do I have in here? Raise your hand. Okay, how many drinkers do I have in here? Raise your hand. Y'all lying. There's more hands than there should be of that. If y'all walk outside here, you'll see about several acres of a putting green. The putting green has 18 holes on it. It is set up to where if you get to play, it's like a putt-putt. And they got hills and dales and everything else. And if all of a sudden you get on the third hole and you need a beer, you raise your hand and they bring you a beer. What better way to learn to play golf? You know, it's a smaller version of the golf. Let me start right to it, because some of the things I don't understand what Metro's doing, because I am a mayor right now. And we don't do these things where we want to charge you a fee to rent houses. I don't really understand what they're doing the fee for, except for they're trying to collect money, and that's not the right way to increase development in your community. So this fee, all of a sudden they start it, and then they don't do it, and then you're afraid to come in because you're afraid they're going to raise the fee. Oh, wait a second. They didn't do it that way, did they? They first said, hey, we just want you to sign up because we want to know who's renting houses, where the rentals are, and then they came back and said, oh, by the way, we're going to charge you a fee. And then they start this saying that right now they're working on an ordinance on lead. And I come from the hardware business. You know, I owned a Dieruf Hardware. My son-in-law has it now. He's third generation. So I understand when you all start trying to fix something, the best place to come and shop. I just want to let you know that's a little ad out here. Whether you need a 5-cent nut or a $40,000 Bobcat and somebody's renting my trencher tomorrow that's in this crowd, I know for sure. But it's a system to where you're going, why is the lead that we are going to inspect and we don't have inspectors? So how do you expect us to follow the law? How do you expect us to do something when you don't have inspectors? You don't even tell us what you're going to do. That's not right for government to do that. That's not right to put you on that hiatus to where every year you have to do something that you're already trying to do. You're trying to follow the law. It was mentioned to me that the people that are giving investors a bad name are some of these big investors that are coming in town with hedge funds. You guys, men and women, are trying to make Louisville the place to where people want to be able to afford to come. And these hedge funds people are something that we have to look at to make sure that you all are continue to invest here without the bureaucracy of government. As a person that has a small business and a person that has investment property, I can tell you that I actually took something through planning and zoning myself. I designed it. I was the attorney. I was the one presenting it. And I realized how hard it was to get through planning and zoning. So when I became mayor, I realized the bureaucracy of government is something that you all shouldn't have to put up with. And as talking to different people around town, it's so bad that if you want a tent permit, you would think you could do it in a few days. It takes 8 to 10 weeks to get a tent permit. So how do you build a house? How do you do a lien release and get you all to develop our community? I talk to people all around this community, and they're saying the problem we're having with development right now is Louisville's bureaucracy is not letting the houses go. That we need over 300 houses a week, 300 houses a year, and they're getting 30. We have to take the code off the houses so you all can remodel it. And somebody was talking to me earlier, and they said that, there'll be a code lien on a house, And they don't understand that we will take that and improve the house if they take the lien off. That's what we do in J-Town. I don't, and Louisville doesn't. They still want the money even if you improve the lien, and many times the lien is more than the house. I would rather have the house improved and have it back on the market and have it somebody where somebody can live and somebody can make a profit on renting it to them. That's not a dirty word. It's not a dirty word. So when we look at how the housing is going to be in the future, how the liens are going to be in the future, we're going to go back to where if there is a lien, if somebody has a high grass lien, and the house has to be sold at the courthouse steps, and you buy it and it doesn't pay for the lien, we'll work on the process to make sure if you improve the house, the lien's gone. My job is to get the property to where it is a rental property or a ownership property that all of us will be proud of. My job is not to try to take every nickel and dime that you're making in the future. And as a person that owns rental property, I can tell you one of my commercial buildings, it was interesting. And MSD, I know we all love MSD. They're the easiest people to work with. You know, you take something in there and it goes down the hole and you never find where it's going to come out at. So, but I have a rental property that I bought. Floodplain was 10 feet off the property. And all of a sudden they decided to relook at the floodplain. Now the floodplain is over my property, over the other road, and over the church on the other side of the road. What does that mean? That means I am restricted from doing anything, improvements on my property at all that would extend the property. And it's never flooded. It never even thought about rain coming on the property except for the ones that came from the sky. So when we start looking about how we're going to look at the future, when I took over Jeffersontown, I realized that planning and zoning was a need that really needed to be looked at. And I'm actually probably one of the nerds who read the 987 pages of LDC. And I'm actually the one that was on the board when they did the comprehensive plan, the 2040 plan. And I am a believer in incentives, not demands. When we did the comp plan, what we did do is I made sure that everything said you may, not you shall. Because you may, as a developer, you have a choice of whether you want to develop that property to where you can make it to where it's viable and affordable and profitable. So when we looked at the 2040 plan, everything I tried to get everything in there to where I would say, let's incentivize the developer, the owner, to do what needs to be done to that property, and then we reward them. Let's not demand they do that. I looked at the planning and zoning, and I had a person come in, wanted to buy commercial property. Business wanted to move in our community, and this is about 6 months into my job as mayor. And the person said, what does that mean? And I said, well, you have to get a variance. And they said, well, what does that? I said, it's $70,000 in 9 months. They left. They went to another state. We can't have that. We can't have you all go to another state or go to another county because they're easier to work with. This should be a place to where you all are saying we can make money here and we can develop here. So what we did is I went to Frankfurt, changed the law to where J-Town can have its own BOSA board, and we get you through in 2 or 3 months, and you don't have to spend all the money that you do. When we have code enforcement, we look and say, if you improve your property, the code lien will be gone. Now, I can't do that as a mayor, but we work with the property owner to make sure if it's a work in progress, it's a work in progress to make it look better. When we talk about building permits coming through our area, it's interesting that it always gets stymied downtown for land design. It always got stymied downtown for landscape. It took forever. So what do? We brought landscape out to J-Town, and we get the plans through in a reasonable time, in weeks, not months. So as we look to what the future is going to look like downtown, you guys are going to understand what customer service really is. Since I come from the hardware store business, you don't walk in my hardware store and I go, well, come back next Tuesday and we'll have a study done and we can tell you how to do it, but we're not going to sell it to you the following Tuesday because we haven't even thought about how we're going to get the product in. I tell my employees that anybody that works for me, every once in a while they'll say, Mayor, you got to have an employee meeting because we've hired some of those people that don't understand what customer service is about. They only understand the bureaucracy of government. And what do I mean by that? You all live it every day as people that own property. And what I mean by that is I said, if somebody calls you at 4:20 on a Thursday and you get off at 4:30, you answer the phone. You don't put it on hold and let it be the answering machine. So next Tuesday, when you happen to have time, you call them and tell them it's not your job that they have to call some other number. You solve the problem right then to the extent you can and move the product and the person to where they need to be to solve the problem. That's a totally different attitude. That's an attitude to where people want to be a part of Louisville. We want to make Louisville a place that's safe, and all of us say that we want to make it safe, both campaign teams. And I can tell you that as a mayor that has had a police department for 12 years, we understand what that means. It doesn't mean that somebody's going to cut your knife down on 4th Street. It doesn't mean somebody is going to take a hammer and knock you in the head. It doesn't mean somebody's going to carjack you out here on Hirschburn Lane. It means myself going downtown and my chief coming downtown, who has had over 40 years experience in the DEA and the KSP and J-Town, and coming downtown and saying, we understand what safety means in the future. And just to give you a short blip off of the rental side of what your life is like and understand what safety will be in the future, is we have to bring more officers back. And they tell us, the officers that have left said, if you all come back downtown, we're coming back. And these are officers that have a lot of training and are the best of the best. We won't hire the ones that shouldn't be there. I understand that. I was on the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council that decertified officers, and we made sure that the officers that were on our team were the ones that were the best of the best. But in order to have what we really do in J-Town, we have community policing. And people, other politicians talk about that, but we actually do it. To where our officers get out of their car, they're required every day to get out of their car to go into a business or walk the neighborhood, ride the neighborhood on their 10 speeds, or actually we have them walk in the school and get to know the kids and get to know the area. Don't tell JCPS we're doing that, but we're in there for the kids to make sure it's safe. So we understand that in order to do that, you all want to know a police officer. You want to know the person that's doing your neighborhood, whether it's Joe or Mary, and so that they get to know your kids, they get to know your family, and you go, well, there's some part of this town that doesn't want that. I can tell you absolutely all of this town wants to be safe. Everybody in this town wants to be safe, but they want the right police to be there. They want the police that they can communicate with, that will work with them as a community, and they want that. But we also have to go to the part of getting rid of the drug and cartel leaders, and that's what Rick Sanders did in Chicago. He was part of DEA, and they put a list on the wall and put the top 20 drug dealer and cartel leaders and joined forces with federal, state, and local and made sure they were arrested and gone so that the kids had a chance. And they did that. By the time he left, they had 2/3 of them gone and no longer on the streets, and they took them on federal. So there was no way they could come back. But we believe in the soft side. Actually, I'm going to tell you, it's going to take a few minutes to get through this whole thing, but the soft side of policing we did 7 years ago. Not when I decided to run for mayor, not when the Courier-Journal all of a sudden decided to put an article out about we need to help those that are addicted. We realized there was a problem, and we formed a group to make sure the problem and how it was solved. The group was made up of anywhere from hospitals to people at a healing place, VOA, doctors, attorneys, police, myself. It was 42 people that sat around the table. And all of us sat around the table to come up with a solution. And that's what you guys need. It always tickles me that somebody in a cubicle decides what's best for you all. You all should be at the table deciding what should be best for the community to be a part of that decision. It always tickles me when somebody says what you all can do and not even realizing what you all do. So you all should have a seat at the table of how do we look at rentals, how do we look at development in the future. And that's not only you all, that's BIA and all the groups to say this is what is wrong and this is how we can improve it. But I always have to have the second part of that. I always have to have somebody say this is how we're going to improve it. Because to complain, we get nowhere. To have solution, we move forward. But what we came up with was an angel program to get back to the policing. In the angel program, you can come in my police department with your drugs, with your paraphernalia, and we will help you. We have over 300 locations nationwide that are either scholarship or they're free or they're insurance covered, and we've helped over 100 people through the police department. That is fascinating. We set up 9 other cities. All the KSP posts have them, and we've been nationally recognized both on the Senate floor and by President Obama when he was in office. They recognized what we do in J-Town. But we realized that wasn't enough. So we had to go out and help those that are homeless to get them off the street. It is not compassionate in our community to have a person live on the streets at 10 degrees or live on the streets at 100 degrees. We have to help the people get off the street. So we help those that are addicted. We helped the vets that came back that could not adjust with USA Cares. We helped the wife that takes the kids, throw them in the car because she's abused. We have the victim's advocate. We have the social worker for the family that lost their job and they're living on the street. So we believe in helping those that need help and not throwing them in jail. But those that have committed major crimes need to be in jail so they don't commit it again on your side. And that will help you all as far as rental, as far as safety, and as far as attracting people to want to be here. So the future of Louisville is something that is very passionate to me. They ask, why are you running for mayor of Louisville? You've done J-Town for 12 years. We love J-Town. We brought the pride back. We did things without raising taxes. We paid off $17 million 11 years early, saved $1 million, put another $25 million in the bank. We didn't raise taxes. The mayor before, it's in there now, wanted to raise your insurance premium tax three times what it was. But as we look to the future, the one thing I'm going to ask you to do a favor, and I ask this of many crowds, I want you to eliminate 5 words from your vocabulary. And they are, I want to be like. You've heard this. And what you want to say is not, I want to be like Nashville, I want to be like Indianapolis, I want to be like Bowling Green. I throw Bowling Green in there because they're more aggressive than we are. I want to be like Cincinnati. Let us be the leaders that others follow. Let us be the ones that people want to come develop in. Let us be the ones that take what they have and make it better so that you can say to the next person that asked you when I leave this office as mayor of Louisville, that you will say, this is the place to come develop. This is the place to come live. This is the place you want to raise your grandkids. God bless you. I'll be here to help you. And I've got to run because Teddy is in our community center, our Jeffersonian, getting ready to orchestra getting ready to go, and he's waiting for me to announce him. So I appreciate y'all having me out today. I'm here for you guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time and your vision as well. We appreciate you coming out here and sharing with us. So with that being done, we will get into kind of the regular meeting.